A quiet Tuesday evening found the Johnson family having a late dinner at Heartland Diner, a local institution that has been a staple in their small Midwestern town for decades. Sarah, 42, and her husband Michael, 45, were tired after a long day at work and running a multitude of errands and wanted a quiet dinner and time with their two teenage children, 17-year-old Olivia and 15-year-old Ethan. Pulling into the familiar diner parking lot, the family couldn't help but notice that the place seemed unusually dark and deserted for this time of day. Shrugging their shoulders, they made their way to the entrance and entered the dimly lit and nearly empty establishment. "Welcome to the Heartland Diner," the young, disinterested hostess greeted them from behind the counter. "Table for four?" "Yes, please," Michael replied, exchanging a concerned look with his wife as they followed the hostess to a booth in the far corner of the restaurant. Once seated, the Johnsons couldn't escape the feeling of unease. The diner, usually filled with friendly chatter and clinking dishes, was eerily quiet except for the occasional muffled sounds coming from the kitchen. "This is kind of weird," Olivia whispered to Ethan, circling the empty room with her eyes. "Where is everyone?" Ethan shrugged, his gaze fixed on the tiled floor. "I don't know, but I have a bad feeling about this place." Before either of them could say anything else, a weathered waitress approached their table, her movements slow and deliberate. "Can I get you some drinks?" she asked, her voice hoarse and devoid of any warmth or enthusiasm. The family placed their drink order, and the waitress, shuffling, disappeared into the kitchen. An instant later, she returned and, without a word, placed the drinks on the table. As the Johnsons sipped their drinks in awkward silence, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The hairs on the back of her neck stood up, and she began to look around the restaurant steadily for any sign of life beyond their small table. Suddenly, a loud cracking sound came from the kitchen, followed by a series of muffled screams. Ethan and Olivia jumped up in their seats, their eyes widening with fear. "What was that?" whispered Olivia, her voice shaking. Before anyone could answer, the kitchen door swung open and a waitress with an ashy face and shaking hands appeared. "I'm so sorry," she stammered, staring at the floor. "There's been an incident in the kitchen. I'm afraid we're going to have to ask you to leave." Sarah felt her heart racing and exchanged a panicked look with Michael. "An incident? What kind of incident? Is everything okay?" The waitress hesitated, her eyes darting around the room nervously. "I'm not sure, but the manager has ordered me to clear the restaurant immediately. For your own safety, I have to ask you to leave immediately." Sensing the urgency in the waitress's voice, the Johnsons quickly gathered their belongings and hurried toward the exit, questions and fears swirling in their minds. When they reached the street, they were greeted by a small crowd of customers gathered in the parking lot, their faces reflecting confusion and concern. "What's going on?" asked Michael, approaching the group of passers-by. "We're not sure," one of them replied, his eyes widened with fear. "The staff just started rushing everyone out of the diner, saying there was some kind of emergency. No one knows what's going on." Suddenly, a scream pierced the air, drawing everyone's attention to the entrance of the diner. The Johnsons watched in horror as a waitress stumbled out of there, her clothes disheveled and her face drenched in blood. "Call the police!" she shouted, her voice shaking with terror. "There's something! There is! Oh God, it's—" Her words were cut short as a huge figure with burning red eyes and sharp, jagged teeth emerged from the shadows, sending a chill down everyone's spine. In the resulting chaos, the Johnsons rushed to escape, saving their lives, their hearts pounding as they fled the diner, not knowing what horrors awaited them inside. When they reached the car, Sarah and Michael exchanged frightened glances, both shocked to the core by the nightmarish scene they had just witnessed. Olivia and Ethan sat in the back seat, their faces pale and their hands shaking, their minds trying to comprehend the unimaginable horror that had unfolded before them. The sound of sirens in the distance heralded the arrival of the police, but the Johnsons knew that nothing could have prepared them for the indescribable horror that had engulfed the Heartland Diner that fateful night.